9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Sorry, guys, I was muted. Happy Tuesday, wherever you guys are. It's Tuesday afternoon where I'm at. As promised, giving you guys a Monday Night Mayor Watch Along Monday Night Raw recap show based on what we saw yesterday. And what I was saying before I realized I was muted is that it seemed like a very lackluster Monday Night Raw. Felt like we hit our normal mark of time, but not a lot actually happened. What's up, Aaron? Not a lot actually happened to actually move the needle. And it started with John Cena entering Glasgow, Scotland to a chorus of boos similar to last week. We pretty much piggybacked off all the things he said last week, kind of laying out facts and outlining that he turned the spotlight on the fans and pretty much what he has been given for the past 20 years. And he said his goal is to now ruin wrestling. So we got some new goals from John Cena on this farewell tour where he says he wants to not only ruin wrestling, but ruin what they envision wrestling should be. So taking the WWE Championship, which he called a toy, and he's taking it home, that they're going to have to create another. And that's how he's going to retire. And pretty much alluded to things like the spinner belt, which was a great idea that got vilified back then, and it probably did. You can actually see old Google screenshots and messages, message boards, things like that, where it wasn't received as well. Very good promo by John Cena. Where it falls flat for me is like the interaction with Cody. And Cody comes out and they pretty much have a war of words and they don't interact much. They don't touch, which I don't think the weight of this feud is really doing well without them coming to blows yet. Now we know that they will come face to face again next week, and then until Mania, there are no confirmed appearances for John. So hopefully we get more details on that, but it was really more the same from last week, and it didn't really do anything to draw in more investment into, hey, why should I boo John Cena when he's kind of just speaking his truth versus are they really going to allow Cody to go over John Cena? I think people are kind of excited still that John is a heel. And it doesn't really do anything for your champion who's been showing up on every show and kind of just doing the same song and dance. So we'll see. Our first match of the night was a little bit of a nostalgia act. We had A-Town Down Under taking Jey Uso and a mystery partner, which turned out to be his brother Jimmy. Great match. We got all the hits from the Usos. They ended up being victorious over A-Town Down Under. And then Gunther hit the ring to try to get a leg up on Jey. And I do, for a lot of people who are anti-Jey, he leading up to WrestleMania and saying they don't believe that he should beat Gunther. They're telling a very good underdog story. Like we know what happened last week when Jey tried to hit the suicide dive and he slipped over the ropes. He recovered nicely. There's another point tonight where he slipped going for a spear and had a kill shot. They alluded to that backstage with Jimmy talking to Jey, saying he needs to go back to being the right-hand man to being main event Jey Uso, and he's in his head too much. So them kind of taking these mishaps, and let's just call them mishaps, if they were planned or not, they're putting him in the storyline to where he doesn't really believe he can do it until he gets in front of Gunther at WrestleMania. They're telling a really good story. But it was good to see Jimmy and Jey in action. They haven't tagged together in over a year and a half, I believe, and they came up victorious. It was a very good moment, and I think it was a pretty bad secret that it was going to be Jimmy. I don't know who else it would have been. I know there were some people thinking it would be Joe Hendry, and that would have been dope for the hometown crowd, but Jimmy was great. They hit the 1D to defeat A-Town Down Under, and then we're out of there. We get a package that's been so controversial on the socials with El Grande Americano. I think it's hilarious, but in this social climate, you can't really poke fun at stuff like that with things like Gulf of America, which sounds incredibly stupid. But I think it's also pointing out the satire and how dumb of a timeline we live in. But we learned about El Grande Americano and where he's from and how he's back to kind of put himself back on the map as far as a luchador. And he had a moment backstage with Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio saying that, well, Chad Gable, sorry, not El Grande. Chad Gable had a moment backstage with Rey and Dragon saying that he cannot compete. And he actually provided a doctor's note that he can't compete. So the match was changed for Dragon Lee to actually take on El Grande Americano. Then next up, we have our women's Intercontinental title match, which after a quick commercial break, I believe it went straight to the ring. No entrances or anything like that, which is kind of weird. I feel like that should be a bigger moment, being as it's a big title, singles title shot for Raquel, and her main roster run, she hasn't had that many to my knowledge. But of course, Judgment Day present at ringside. Match was kind of, I think both women need more time with each other, more chemistry. Of course, Lyra Valkyria skated away with the victory via roll-up after Liv and Judgment Day did their best to try to distract and get the win for Raquel. So we get Valkyria defeating Rodriguez. I mean, she's defended her title, 3 times now? She's been successful in every one. I have to believe that Dakota is next again after her big win over Ivy Nile. But we'll continue to see like how they want to use the IC title. Meanwhile, the US title is like just way up here as far as relevance. So maybe it'll catch up. You can only hope. We have the backing of Netflix and a lot of other things to help this mid-card title picture kind of get bigger. After the match, we saw Raquel and Liv try to attack Lyra and get a leg up, but they were pretty much ran off by Bayley, who kind of made the save. So more to see there. But again, we're trying with that division. Hopefully Lyra gets to continue to face other challengers. Like I would like to see Maxine rise up and get a shot. Again, there's Zoe Stark backstage, and I think Zoe will present a very good challenger. Shayna Baszler. There's a bunch. The storylines are there. We just got to find the time away from the ring, away from socials, to make sure that we know that this is the fighting champion. And maybe the councilman was right. Maybe we do need an open challenge. Maybe an open challenge will help us get further into the weeds there of this Intercontinental title picture. We now know what's going on with the women's championship situation. Now we had all 3 women come to the ring. Adam Pearce did announce that there would be a rematch for Rhea Ripley next week for the women's title, and the winner would go on to face Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair is going to be the special guest referee. As usual, all 3 women got into it with each other after trading their war of words and things like that. One thing I did not like about this, we see the European crowd booing the absolute shit out of Bianca Belair, and we know what's going on if you have 2 brain cells. We know what's going on. But it's worth noting that if you want to call, I don't think there's a true heel in this match, but Rhea Ripley has been the one that's kind of a nuisance and been kind of annoying in the whole thing when she's doing certain things to disrespect Io. Only Bianca is the one being booed for doing anything. So I don't know what's going on. We know Bianca is going to be the ref next week. It's probably going to help us get further to WrestleMania to solidify it as a triple threat. And the more and more we get along, it seems like Io is the one being left out, and Io is the one that probably needs the most, needs to win the most come Mania, if I'm being honest. Not Bianca or Rhea. We can do Bianca and Rhea without a title at this point, since that's the way they're putting the storyline. I did mention the pep talk that Jimmy gave Jay backstage, which is going to lead us to Jimmy taking on Gunther next week. I did see a really cool fan theory earlier today that the one way that you can unlock an aggressive aggressive Jay is seeing his twin brother get beat up. Think about the Hell in a Cell match when that caused Jay to say he quit. I think if we see something like that next week, a lot more people will get invested into the storyline. If Jimmy comes up short or Gunther just bludgeons Jimmy, because Jimmy slapped the hell out of Gunther backstage. So a receipt's coming. And I think that's going to get more people invested into that rivalry the next few weeks. To me, the match of the night, Dragon Lee versus El Grande Americano. Regardless of how you feel about it, it's comedy, it's goofy, and I thought this match between the two was great. I thought it made Dragon Lee look great, and I think it shows like how valuable El Grande is, or if you want to say if it is Chad Gable, whatever. I think we know how much of a great wrestler he is as far as wrestling any style imaginable. I think this did a lot for Dragon Lee's stock as a singles wrestler and made you actually invested in his character and care a little bit about him in the LWO. Oh my God, what is it? The belly to belly suplex that he gave Dragon Lee into the corner, the air that Dragon Lee had before hitting that turnbuckle, just amazing stuff. I can watch those two wrestle all day. El Grande picked up the win after removing the mask of Dragon Lee and putting on an ankle lock against him. And the commentary played it up too. Commentary saying like, hey, this is a move that Chad Gable always uses as far as ankle locks, headbutts, things like that. I thought it was great. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of it and how they tie American Made into this versus the LWO. If they're smart, I hope we get a throwback Turf Wars like we did in NXT with the Don and then Legado del Fantasma. But I thought it was very entertaining. I think that was probably the most entertaining part of Monday Night Raw last night. I believe there was also a segment backstage where we had the New Day asking Adam Pearce for a tag team title shot, and they actually demanded it, and Pearce kind of wrote him off. Pearce was having a rough day. So I think we're starting to see him spiral more with the women's title situation, and I know what's next for the New Day is probably going to be the Viking Raiders, and whenever they do that on TV, I believe it'll be in the next few weeks. Main event time. Actually, sorry. CM Punk came to the ring to give a really good promo on what happened on SmackDown. CM Punk made his way to SmackDown. I like the story we're telling here too. And if it gets hot enough, then CM Punk versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns is going to main event night one. Even though I feel like Roman Reigns would advocate for Jay to main event night one, we'll see, because it's such a great storyline. CM Punk saying that neither man has ever beaten him on their own without the help of the other. Roman being jealous of the relationship that Paul has with Punk, and Punk kind of leaning into that, saying that Paul is not just Roman's wise man. And then, of course, the hatred that is between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. I didn't think we'd get here, but this is its main event caliber as far as anything else on the WrestleMania card right now. And CM Punk saying that since they didn't show up in Glasgow, he'll be there on Friday. I forget where they're going to be, but I think they're going to be at the O2 in London. He'll be there Friday on SmackDown. We'll see these guys interact again. And I know Seth Rollins is doing the NFL tour this week. He's been on Good Morning Football. I don't know if he's been on Insiders, but he's also been on the Rich Eisen show. A lot of good stuff. And I think it's really going to put a lot of fuel behind the fire that is this triple threat, to where it's going to be probably one of the biggest matches on the card on either night. So looking forward to see it. Intercontinental Championship on the men's side was Braun Breaker taking on the challenger Penta. Another great match that was kind of a dusty finish. You don't really want to see dusty finishes in the main event. However, that's what we had, because this was another layer of Dominic Mysterio trying to add another member to Judgment Day in Penta. And eventually Braun Breaker takes out Judgment Day ringside, and they attack Braun Breaker in the ring, and that ends the match. So Penta didn't really get his just due as far as a one-on-one, but you did two things here. Braun Breaker looks strong. Penta doesn't take his first singles loss, and you can still run it back whenever you do at WrestleMania, or if you do have that multi-man match that's being rumored at WrestleMania as well. But Mysterio caused the interference and the disqualification towards Penta, and then they actually almost got Penta to join Judgment Day. They almost did. He thought about it, but then struck Dominic with the chair took out Carlito before Finn could take out Penta, and then Finn also took out Braun Breaker with a chair. I think, if I'm being honest, that might have been the first time Judgment Day has stood tall at the end of a program in months, if not since sometime last year. Like, seeing them stand tall just reminds us that they are, for lack of better words, the dominant faction on Monday Night Raw. I think I saw a nasty stat too, that Finn Balor since 2023 has only won 2 singles matches. Since 2023. So maybe there's a change of the guard here with Judgment Day, and actually we're going to start seeing them be a little bit more successful here. I think JD McDonough should be back soon. And obviously Braun Breaker is a strong defending champion. I'm pretty sure we're going to see – I like that idea, Fernando. We're definitely going to see Breaker, Penta, and Finn. Who's the fourth? It might be Dom. I still think Sheamus, but it might be Dom. But somewhere or somehow this is going to be something we continue to see being built around the Intercontinental title picture. But Penta survives another week with kind of a spotless record since debuting. I thought we might get the Rey Fenix debut last night after they were attacking him, but I think we're going to hold that for a little bit later on down the European tour. But I think next week we're going to see John Cena and Cody again. Like I said, Jimmy Uso taking on Gunther. I'm pretty sure we'll see some interaction in the tag team division between the War Raiders as well as the New Day, who are seeking a tag team title match. Pretty sure A-Town Down Under will continue to pester Jey Uso. And I don't know what's going to happen, but next week is the last televised appearance for John Cena before WrestleMania. So I don't know if we're going to get some influence of the final boss there, where he comes around and kind of reminds us that he doesn't want that belt on Cody anymore. But something's got to give. I felt like this was a kind of a lackluster Monday Night Raw. But I think we're going to start cooking up more as we get to Friday. But that has been the Monday Night Raw post show. I believe next week we're starting at noon for Monday Night Raw. So again, we'll do another midday mare. Make sure you check us out in less than a couple hours, an hour and a half. We're going to actually have the Tuesday night Pharaoh watch along for NXT, where our new NXT Women's Champion, dual champ, North American champ will be taking on Fallon Henley and Jada Parker in the same night, defending both titles. So that should be a doozy. Thank you guys for tuning in with me. Like I said, I'll be back with the Councilman a little bit later, or at least in the chat. You can follow me on the Twitter at says, on the gram that says the answer. Check out all the articles that I've written on wwtalkpod.com, and be on the lookout for all that Queen of the Ring content. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow for WWT Live. Appreciate you guys. See you soon. Peace.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at wwtalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at wwtalkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.